morning, my YouTube friends, everyone on the BEL channel. We've got another podcast episode with my friend Otis Davis from British Columbia here in Canada. He's a rapper, and we're going to talk about some Canadian hip hop. We talk about performing. Him and I had probably the longest conversation I've had on this show about performances, since that's kind of where my background lies, both as a performing artist and as a live technician, right? So I had a lot of fun. We have a lot of choice language because it was late, and I just wanted to give you all a fair warning. But it was a great conversation. It was a blast hanging out with my friend Otis, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with you again in the future, my friend. And let's get to the episode.
I'm coming in the game like some planes, motherfuckers. That's my name. No, it's Otis, and I don't give a fuck what you say. All you lame brains never in the same lane. Nah, bitch, I'm floating. So put your fucking speakers on blast. Fill the tank full of gas. Grab the key.
What is going on, my YouTube friends? How we living today? We got BEL podcast episode 15 here with my friend Otis Davis. Otis, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me. This is dope. Yo, this is the first time I've been in any kind of podcast or interview like this, so like bear with me.
I was gonna ask that because, like, are you on a label? Are you with a label? You used to be with a label?
So like back when I first started actually seriously recording and rapping, I was with my homie Dosage, who's from Huntsville, Ontario, and his homie in Ottawa has a label that used to be called NHBA, Northern Hybrid Army, NBA Records, and that was based out of Ottawa. And they gave us kind of like a distribution deal, like if we needed features, we needed beats, we put out any songs or anything like that, they would release them for press the CDs or how it was going to work. We ended up only really getting beats and doing shows. We never actually released anything. I've continued that relationship with the label, which has now rebranded to Pale Horse Productions. That's on my Instagram. It's otisdavis.php. That's what the PHP stands for.
Gotcha.
Still definitely affiliated, but I've been doing everything independently for the last couple of years for the most part, like just with support from D-Muns. Shout out to the homie D-Muns, the Dark Apostle. Like,
yeah,
big in the Canadian underground for sure, but also like super connected in the industry. So he's definitely taught me a lot when it comes to just like the business side of things, and helped out when it comes to beats and features and shit like that. So
no, that's cool, man, because that's like, you hear so many horror stories, and I'm not going to get into that because I know nothing about it, but that's kind of the relationship you want with any form of label, right?
Like, the thing is it's at this point it's basically a friendship. Like I will stand by him and like work with him and help him in any way I can until I don't see anything ever happening. You know what I mean? Like it's we've got a good relationship for sure. And like if shit ends up popping off, or like I need to get help on a bigger industry level, like he's always there. He's always got my back. So it's definitely dope.
And like, I talked to Ethan and York last week. Great dudes, man. Like, that was my second time meeting them. We did a pod before, but the audio didn't work, so we had to do another one. But like, if Ethan runs out of beats, or if he gets too busy, like, you got another failsafe, right?
Yeah, it's dope. And it's cool too. Like, that's the thing about being. I mean, it's kind of a blessing and a curse. Like, branding yourself as an artist and as a rapper, like, the algorithms will get you whether you've got 500 followers or 500,000 followers. So like, as soon as you start putting shit out, people reach out. Some of them are bots. Some of them are just scamming you. Some of them are real producers that are trying to just get their beats out. So I've actually like a pretty good mailing list of guys that send shit every month. And I'll be honest, like, shout out to all of them and keep sending them, because every once in a while there's a dope one in there. But like, there's something different about working with somebody in the studio, or like having an actual personal relationship with them. And like, I'm referring to Ethan and working with Ethan.
Sorry, my camera died. You keep talking.
It's all good. He just knows, at this point, like, we've been doing shit together for 3-4 years. Like, he just kind of knows what my voice works with when it comes to beats and melodies and notes and anything like that. So, and he also knows what my ear is like. So like, he'll hear a beat, he'll make something, and he'll be like, this is for Otis for sure. Like, I'm going to send it to him right now. And he'll email it to me, and I'll get it before I even get a message from him. So that's like, that's kind of priceless. Like you can't force that kind of shit. But at the same time, I have gotten some really deadly beats from other artists. Like there's my homie Devin, actually, shout out Devin in Van City. He's doing some shit with the Canadian Underdogs. They're doing like some ciphers and it's like YouTube ciphers, I think. You got to look up Canadian Underdogs on Instagram. They're also throwing some shows down on the coast too. So if you're an artist down in Vancouver, reach out to them for sure if you've got some shit and you want to get on stage. But Devin actually has produced almost half of the shit that I've released on Spotify as well. So that's the same kind of deal. It's like you've got that relationship, you get that connection going, and then like things just kind of work together a little bit better. And chemistry is still important in this day of people emailing their verses and their beats back and forth across the country. And they're not to take anything away from that either. That's actually kind of dope. Like we used to work with, when I had a group, I used to work with a DJ in fucking London.
Crazy.
And he did cuts on almost every single one of our tracks that had cuts on. Actually, he did cuts on every song that had cuts. It was him. DJ. Huh. Shout out to Matt Hands. Can't even find you on Facebook anymore, bro. So if you come across this shit, email me or hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, whatever it is. Like,
we got lots of friends in England, man. Someone's got to find them.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Seriously, DJ Mad Hands, like tell him to hit me up. But yeah, that's the thing. Is like it's. But at the same time, you know what? Not to take from the technology thing, we ended up building a relationship with Mad Hands, and same deal. He knew what kind of cuts worked for the shit that we wanted, and he knew what kind of vibes we were looking for, you know. So like that's what happens when you work with anybody. But and shout out York for sure, because that kid is coming up like probably one of the craziest spitters I've ever been around, like in person, if not in my life, just hearing even. And this kid just fucking started, man. Like, and you know, it's fun, and I hope he hears me say this. It's fun listening to him talk, because he's like really, really, really gung ho, and then he's like, oh shit, he's like, I haven't done this a whole ton. And I love that though. It's like, man, like throw yourself to the wolves, like get into it, man. Figure out what works and what doesn't, right? That's the whole thing. Like, you know what's funny is we just actually recorded a remix like the last time we were in the studio together, and I did my verse first and he comes in second, and he started off with being like, he basically was talking in his first two lines about eating all these other fucking rappers, right? And after he lays his verse, he turns and looks at me, he's like, sorry, like no disrespect, Odie. Like, I'm like, dude, it's all fucking good, bro. Like, go hard, man. Like, see, there's thing that I feel like with hip hop, and I've said this before, and I'll say this as many times as I need to. Hip hop is the most arrogant, most self-centered genre of music there is, period. Tell me another type of music that the artist says their name and talks about themselves as much as people do in hip hop.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Okay.
It's a great way of looking at that.
But give me another genre of music that is as competitive as hip hop.
See, and I like that. And I talk about this often, man. Like, I'm a big, like, I love hip hop. I do. For me, it's a much more like emotional tie. And it's like I'll explain this later, but it's like a physical thing for me. If I'm just like sitting listening to a record, it's like something overproduced, hard rock, borderline metal. I don't really get into metal, but like borderline rock, right? And oh shit, where was I going with this? I was thinking like it would be great. Like every once in a while, I listen to like an Alter Bridge song, and I'd be like, I wish this guitar player would come play on it. But there's so much ego involved. You know what I mean? Or like this drummer would do great on this. Like I love the band drummer, but bring in this drummer just for this song. Why not? And like, let's see what happens, right? And I think that would be magic, man. But you don't get that in anything else, let alone trying to outdo each other and go back and forward a few times, you know?
So like that, I feel you. And the thing is, and like, because of that competitiveness and because of that, and people might disagree with the word that I use, but I say arrogance or cockiness or self-centered, whatever. because
without
of
the
that.
negative adaptations, just like
I
the
don't
word for what
mean
it
it in
is,
a
right?
negative way at all. I'm saying
Yeah.
like 100%. Like if you look up the definition of arrogance in a dictionary, I don't know exactly what it says, but I'm pretty sure it's
Probably not that bad.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so the thing that I mean, or the thing that I'm getting to about that whole thing is there's a fine line between being super fucking cocky and being self-confident as an artist. And you have to have that backbone and that self-confidence, and you have to feel like, you know what, this is some of the best shit I've ever fucking recorded. This is the best shit I've ever written. I've got some of the best shit out here. You know, fuck everybody else. I am best. Because you need that fire behind you, regardless of whether you've been rapping for a month or if you've been rapping for a decade. Because like that's the difference. If you look at the artists that have continued to make it in the industry, like these guys have that fire regardless of what's going on and what's trending. You know what I mean? And that's why they're still relevant. That's why Jadakiss is still is on the new DJ Khaled album and is on
still killing it.
Is on fucking tracks with Biggie. You know what I mean? Like that's 30 fucking years apart.
Yeah.
It's still relevant. So it's just like that's the thing is, and you're talking about York and how he's like he starts talking all this shit and then he's like, wait, I haven't really done this. He's done that with me too, and I'm like, dude, that's not an issue. Like,
yeah,
keep going.
It's good, man. It's good.
Everybody has to have that, but you also have to be careful because like there's that certain point where it starts to become you're being too cocky, and then people don't respect you anymore. You know what I mean? Like you got to have some humility and like and be real about shit at the same time. You got to be humble.
Yeah, you got to come on podcasts and make a fool of yourself for a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you know what? You got it again. Like when after you've got all your shit together, you got to go make a fool of yourself again. Like
yeah,
human nature.
Yeah. How long you been rapping for?
Okay, that's a loaded.
How long you been taking it seriously?
I have been recording my own, like actually recording songs with the intention to release and using an actual rap name since 2012.
Wow. Okay. 11 years, eh?
2011.
Okay.
2011, because 2012 was the first year that I did that was the first time like I got on stage as a rapper.
Wow. Okay. So hold on. Have you been on stage before?
So growing up, like I mean, I used to do fucking theater and shit in school and like acted in plays and shit all the time. And was I ever really on? I've never really performed as an adult on stage before hip hop. I don't think.
Okay. It was like high school and extracurricular.
Yeah, just shit like that. I mean, I like I said, I freestyled in high school. Like when we were chatting before we started, I freestyled in high school. I had a heavy metal band in high school. Like I was a drummer.
Okay.
Like I wrote songs and like I fucking tried DJing, like turntables and shit. And yeah, like I don't know, I've been doing music since I was fucking born. Like my mom or my godfather, shout out my godfather Bing, fucking guy's a legend. He bought me a drum kit when I was 2.
Wow.
like a real drum kit, like fucking decent quality, not a kid, not like a toy. And because my family, my whole background is all in the music industry and the movie industry. Like my mom, she's been a singer professionally for her whole life, much her whole adult life. She was born in Toronto, grew up in LA, and like in the 60s. So she came up with, like, I won't name drop, but like she came up with a lot of the names in the 60s as like she was a backup singer, she was a songwriter, she did a lot of session work and stuff like that. So she was always in the industry. My biological dad was a singer songwriter. My grandfather was one of the founders of the Georgia Strait, which is the Vancouver musicians newsletter, and it's been around
Wow.
since the 60s or the 50s or something like that. He also opened the Jazz Cellar, which was the first jazz club in Vancouver, like back in the 60s or 50s. Fuck, I got to do my research a little bit better. Like, but that's the thing is, my whole family is like my big brother was a child Disney fucking actor. He did like two big movies when he was a little kid, and then did a couple more when he was a teenager.
Wow.
My uncle was the director of Touched by an Angel down in the States. My cousin was fucking a PA for a bunch of different big movies, and like my aunt was a wardrobe designer. So like I've always been in the showbiz like world kind of. So like being around music and playing music was always something that every one of us basically did.
Mm-hmm.
I just never really took on any actual instruments.
That's okay though.
You know, like I can play the piano a little bit. Like I can play the guitar a little bit. I can play the drums.
I would say you said drums.
Yeah. Like I could sit down on the drums and start playing them right now. I just couldn't. I probably couldn't play them that well. I don't know.
It's like riding a bike. It's fine.
It's been like 10 plus years since I've even fucking held drumsticks in my hand. So.
So then, what got you to hip hop then?
So when I moved to Kamloops, actually, I've always loved hip hop. Like I said, the first CD I ever had was a Cypress Hill CD. It was hip hop and heavy metal and like rock, rap, alternative metal,
Limp Bizkit and Deftones. And...
I mean, fuck. I don't fuck what anybody has to say about like Fred Durst. He is a fucking idiot, or he was at least. But like Limp Bizkit is dope as fuck, and like,
oh, dude, the whole persona thing is hilarious, and it got people talking. And he was a caricature, man, for like the biggest rap rock band that walked the face of the earth. Like, come on, what are you gonna complain about?
That Limp Bizkit was going to come up as a topic in this conversation tonight, because I have Fred Durst's Limp Bizkit hat.
Really?
On his head, and burnt a cigarette hole. There's a cigarette hole in it right here. And because my brother, his roommate at the time in Van he worked for Universal Music. He was a street rep, and one of his jobs was he would pick up artists from the airport and take them to their hotel and like get them their they needed, you know what I mean? And then he would get to party with them, right? So like my brother had one of Limp Bizkit's LB jerseys. Like, remember the fucking
wild
jerseys?
Yeah.
Sold it for fucking drugs or something. I don't know what happened.
Something.
I still got the fucking hat though. Still got a hat.
Yeah, as long as you got your hat, man, that's all that matters.
Yeah. But yeah, like anyway, so that's, you know, I was heavy into like I actually listened to more metal. There was a point there where I listened to more metal because of me playing the drums so much, and it was just like I was always inspired or like looking for inspiration, so I would listen to shit that I like to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
I moved into an apartment with an ex-girlfriend, and we only had 2 bedrooms and a little living room, and I couldn't play my drums, and I couldn't fit them in the closet. And so I ended up selling them to her little brother, because my plan was, I was like, they're going to be with her little brother. I'll be able to play them, and then I'll buy them back when I get a bigger place.
Yeah, of course.
Didn't happen. So I was just like, there's not the drums. We're done. Broke up with her. I was like, no, let's get out of here. Fuck that. So it was funny too, actually, because like I was always like, the first shit that I actually seriously started doing was I would rewrite Drake songs.
Oh, really? Like just over the beat, or like the song idea?
2010 or no, 2008 to 2011, Drake was like, most of the songs he had were just super smooth. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like he was rapping, he wasn't like going super hard, he wasn't going super soft. It was just like mellow. So it was really, and it was just really easy to like take his actual flow and rewrite it syllable for syllable. And I think that's actually like, because I've always known how to write bars, but I think that's actually how I started really paying attention to how bars are structured. And it's funny because like nobody gives Drake any credit for like his actual quality of hip hop. He just sells a lot of fucking records. And who knows if he even wrote any of these songs either back then. At this point, I don't even give a fuck.
I have no
it's just
clue.
like they're
don't
structured,
matter.
in my opinion, they're structured correctly or like very well when it comes to like syllable structure and like everything, like the rhyme schemes. And they were simple rhyme schemes. So that's what I would do. I would write them on my BlackBerry and then spit them in my car over his lyrics because I didn't even have the fucking instrumentals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then 2011, I was driving home one day and I saw this kid that I used to blaze with all the time, one of my homies, sitting waiting for the bus. And I had to stop at the red light and I rolled the window down. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going home. I was like, where do you live? And he lived a few blocks away from where I lived. So I was like, oh, just get in. I'll fucking drive you home. And I had rewritten the Twins remix or the Twins #2. Or no, it was just called Twins, I think. Oh yeah, it's Twins. It's the deep cover remix by Big Pun and Fat Joe.
Okay.
I had just rewritten this. I was like, bro, you gotta listen to this because I had the instrumental, and I spit it driving him back to his house. He was like, dude, you gotta meet my roommate. So he introduced me to Matt, who ended up being Corrosive Dosage, who I ended up forming a group with, and we lived together for a few years. Like we wrote and recorded and did shows for like 5 years, give or take, from like 2012 till 2017, 2018. And then he moved back to Ottawa and I just started doing shit solo. And the whole thing was like, I started just listening to more hip hop once I sold my drums. And then because I always would go and play, I guess I just started freestyling again and then was like, hey, fuck, I'm going to write this shit down. And like, oh, hey, this is kind of catchy. And like, maybe I should do this. And then it just, and it's fucking fun. Like,
I bet. It sounds like you have fun in your music.
It's still fun. It's still fun. So like,
Yeah.
that's it, man. Like if I get 5 plays, cool. If I get 500 fucking thousand plays or 5 million plays, wicked. But like
whatever, right?
Man, I'm just having fun. Like it's just a good time.
So like that, you're kind of answering a lot of my questions as we go along here, which is good. So I want to talk about No Drama, because I've been binging that, man. It's been stuck in my head since the second I started playing it. But it makes sense that you got a big musical background because that thing is so catchy.
I appreciate that.
The hook in that, man, like the verses, don't get me wrong, like they punch, they're great. Like I love the flow and all that, but that chorus is unbelievable.
I appreciate that. So I gotta give some mad props to Ethan on that song. Like
he killed it, man. He was tooting his own horn on it.
Ethan, bro, you're a fucking wizard, and I say this every time we're in the studio. Like for real, he's got this fucking ear and this touch on everything. Like we'll record some shit and it'll sound dope, and then he'll fuck with it and he'll send it back, and he doesn't throw like auto-tune on it. We don't have any crazy effects on my vocals or anything like that. He just makes it sound so much better. He makes the beat fit the fucking vocals. He makes the vocals fit the beat. And the chorus is that was a lot of Ethan because he was fucking around and he sent me a version where he had taken another, because we usually do 3 or 4 layers on everything. Of course. And he took one of my layers and he pitched it up to a harmony and then sent it to me. And I was like, bro, that's fucking perfect. So then I ended up recording that layer with the harmony in the actual recording. And it just, the whole thing fucking just sounded so good.
Yeah. So you sang that then?
Yeah. So that's like everything on that is all the vocals and everything are me. He's obviously put them through the mixes and everything, right? Mm-hmm. Like he's tuned or not tuned them, but fixed them, like made them sound crispy and all that. Yeah. It was also one of the first, like I've got a couple songs on there that I've already like where I've sung the chorus and like been a little sing-songy, but that was like the first kind of like hip hoppy track that I tried to sing a chorus that was hype like that, like high energy. kind of like, because that Conflicted track that's on there that I put out a couple years ago, it's like a love hate song, and it's super slow and like super melodic and shit. But yeah, I appreciate that, man. Like, No Drama was a lot of fun. And you know what? One of my homies actually messaged me and he's like, bringing back the third verse.
Yep. I thought that immediately too.
That's something else that we talked about at the beginning before we kicked it off, is like, I came up in the late 90s and the early 2000s when like you had to have 3 minutes or 3.5 minutes. Otherwise
it was a song, right?
You would pay attention. And they're like, what is this? This isn't a song. So that third verse is like, I write a third verse to almost every fucking song that I do. And 9 times out of 10, I cut it because I'm trying to kind of adapt a little bit to the way things are now, but yeah, still kind of keep it true to just how.
Hey man, if the pen's moving, the pen's moving, you know.
That's the problem. Like, sometimes I can't get it to stop. Like, Ethan sometimes is like, "What the fuck was that?" And I'm like, I think it's 96 or 48 or who knows. Like, sorry,
who knows?
That wasn't a 16. I can tell you that much. Like, here,
I guarantee you it wasn't 16. But like you said, like, you got Ethan in the studio with you, right? So like, if something's going well, if something lands, like maybe it's all of a sudden like, hey man, this hook wasn't really working. The 32 worked really good. Let's keep the 32. I'm going to change a few things. Let's keep this going or whatever, right? Like, it's dope to have him in the studio and trust his ear that much and trust that he can do it quick, that like you can have the song that you want, right?
Yeah. See, like, and the other thing that's really cool is sometimes, and like anybody that's ever recorded by themselves probably feels this strongly, but when you're by yourself, you get to a point where you're in a fucking tunnel. Like,
yep,
it is. You get tunnel vision because you can't think about anything other than what you're focused on completing at that moment. Whereas when you're working in a studio, especially like the most ideal thing is when you've got even more than one person and everybody's got headphones, or you're in a studio where it's actually separated and you've got like the mic booth that is completely soundproof, and like then the actual fucking mixing booth that people can hear what's going on. Because having those extra ears that aren't listening to what you're exactly doing, but listening to all the other shit around it too. Sometimes I'll finish a verse and he'll be like, yo, you should say this line like this, and literally change the emphasis on one fucking word, and I'll go and record it, and then he'll play it back for me, and I'm like,
oh, like, I get why you do this now.
that one fucking thing, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah.
No, but it's like, and sometimes vice versa. Sometimes he'll be like, hey, do it this way, and I'll do it that way, and then I'll be like, you know what, here, let me try it this way, and then I'll do it a different way. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's like, it's nice to have that, because it comes with trust, and it comes with like working together for sure, and like just knowing how each person works for the most part. But like, it's nice to have that second ear and that opinion and that other like fucking view on anything. So like,
I think it was, sorry, you go ahead.
Oh yeah. So there's just like, there's so many little things in songs. It could be something as small as like I said, a different emphasis on a certain word in a line, or a different ad lib, or moving the ad lib to a different part of the line, or in throwing in just a sound between breaths, or so, you know what I mean? Just little things like that. And I could probably pick them out if we sat and like had a listening party. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, that was Ethan. That was Ethan. That was Ethan. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, that's the thing. It's fucking dope. And sometimes I'll give them the same ideas with beats, but like, it's usually more when we're actually recording.
Yeah. Well, like, and like I say, in the moment, man, like, if you write something and it stretches long and he's got like a drum fill, like, maybe you move the drum fill, but at least you could do that in the moment, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, speaking of like making decisions and stuff, man, like, so first verse goes hard. I love that, like, you do this lots. You shut yourself out. Like, my name's Odie. It's Otis. Like, this stuff, right? And it's dope. The second verse, man, you got some sort of like, you caught something in that flow, and it just I rewind to that second verse often.
Dope. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's some fun little flips in there.
Yeah,
What is the
but
second verse? The second verse.
I'm back. We're not wasting no time. I'm back at it. Something
Yeah.
about a crack addict attacking the track. Like, oh my god.
That's
But
so.
just
That's shit. Like, and I mean, the first person that comes to mind is Eminem, but it's not. That's not like we kind of were texting back and forth, and how I said like, yes, I think M is one of the best that ever did it. But if you ask me who my favorites are, he's not on the list usually.
mm-hmm.
When it comes to who I actually fucking listen to. So I find it hard to even think that I have any kind of like strong influence from his rapping style. But like when I think about people that do multiples, he's the first person I think of.
Yeah, like The Way I Am or something.
That verse, like I've always wanted to, and I'm, you'd have to blow up to get on Rap Genius or whatever the fuck that is. But like, that page that post different rap verses, they have different colors for each rhyme.
Yeah,
like it highlights where the rhymes are in the lines. Dude, I've seen that on songs that I've memorized and been like, oh my god, I didn't even notice that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know words. So like I would love to just figure out, like, get that fucking app and like put it on some of my verses just to like see how it actually fits together, because like that's the whole thing, is like the beginning of that verse, like I take back at it, I throw it in to so many different spots of the next lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not just the last line or the last
Mm-hmm.
word of the line.
It's the whole phrase.
Fun. That's what I like about hip hop. Like there isn't another genre you get to speak as much in and say as much in. Like you have to fucking know how to play with words, otherwise you're fucked or boring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
like I don't come from a really, really, really hard background. I didn't come from the streets. I didn't fucking come from a different country. But I like words, and I mean, I've been through some shit. I can tell some stories about,
everyone's been through it, right?
Everybody's been through something, but like, that's the thing, is like, I'm not trying to pretend I'm something I'm not. Like, I like to play with words and get people's attention. And like, that's exactly it. You rewound the verse. I don't think I say it in that verse, but I've said it in verses before where I'm like, rewind it.
Yeah. Listen again, right?
To it again, because if you didn't understand what I just said, like, you got to rewind it, because there's more there.
Yeah. I heard I do these live streams on my Patreon, and today was 21 Pilots, and he said something about live, like the play on words was live, and then the next line it was live, and he said if you read this it might not make sense. And I was like, oh, because you might say live, live, like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh shit, like that's actually really clever. Like, go listen to this and then you'll get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But like, so what I'm really thrilled by and why I go back to this is like, and I know you didn't sing like, it didn't go in order of verse, hook, verse, like when you're recording. I get that, right? The process is different. But I don't know how you come back into that second verse sounding so chill. Like, just so relaxed. You sound more relaxed in the second than you do in the first.
So that's, you know what? I think that might have to do more with the actual song too. There's a little bit like, I don't know, man. It's an art. You know what I mean? We all take it to a certain degree of seriousness, and like the first verse, you got to come in kind of hard. You got to get people's fucking attention. Yo, it's Otis. Nobody better please. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to fucking yell that shit out because you need to remember, once you realize how dope this shit is, who it is that's doing it. Yeah. Second verse, and it kind of plays into that, like, I ain't wasting no time, we back at it, is like, I'm just kind of like, hey, like, I'm still here and we're still doing it, and we're not even close to done. We're not even halfway through yet. We'll be halfway through it. And so I think it also has to do with just like the words and how my delivery works with the flow, because I also like, I kind of lead into that first verse or that second verse mellow, but bring all of those rhymes into into like, I think it's like 4 bars that I squeeze them all into. And you kind of got to build it up a little bit.
Yeah, you got to, it's like the roller coaster's got to carry, and you got to have different ways of creating excitement, right?
I also like, I maybe because I'm more old school and I never have rapped with auto-tune on a mic, like live. I've recorded with auto-tune a couple of times, like, and I like it. It's kind of fun to fuck around with, but
it's cool, right?
Have the right song. You got to have the right song. You can't just put it on anything. But I'm, like I said, maybe because I'm old school, and I feel like if you're gonna write and you record it, you better be able to fucking spit it to me.
Yeah,
live, or even like just in person, because like I don't want to have to stop and wait for you to take breath and then like, you know, okay, this is the second half of the verse, but this is where I rap really fast. So like that's why I don't do a whole lot of crazy double time, because like it's not very easy to do that without having to record your verses in sections. So that's another one too, is like I can say there's no songs that I've ever recorded that I haven't done the verse all in one take.
Cool.
Because I think that's important. You got to learn how to you got to write for your breath control and your own ability too. You got to write within your own fucking tool bag for the most part.
Well, that's part about being humble too, right?
And that's the thing, is you can push yourself, and when you push yourself to the point where you know how to do it, you can do some more shit. But having said that, I have some songs where it's been like, hey, this fucking word doesn't sound good enough. And do we go back and do we record this entire verse again? Or do I just do this line once just so this word is a little bit more clear? There's a couple where I've done that for sure.
Absolutely.
But I definitely don't have anything where I have to stop and be like, okay, let's get a glass of water. I need to fucking hit my puffer and fucking breathe for 10 minutes before I can do this fast part, you know? So,
but like, I've been talking about this lots lately. Like, you know, I truly believe that there are one take wonders. I think it's fabulous. I think it's great. I think you should do a couple takes just for texture, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I usually do 4, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like, even if it's just for the sake of like, we want something chanty, now we have 4 vocals for it. Like, that's great, right? I also think that like, if you took that and called it a live take, that's cool. If you do like a live performance in a studio, that's cool. You film it, you know, we can all see it was one take. That's cool, right? Still a lot of control, right? But you got to think about it. And when you're performing in front of people, man, that's like the ultimate. Like, if you can pull this off, then you got a good song. You got a good verse, whatever it is, right? But like, even if you don't plan on performing, you kind of have to plan it for the performance.
That's right? So like, we live in a different generation now, and the younger crowd might not understand this or identify with this at all. And some of them do. There's some kids that are fucking 20 years old that are hungry like I was fucking 15, 20 years ago. You know what I mean? But there's some kids that are just like, hey, I want to make music and fucking never have anybody see my face and just put shit out on Spotify and SoundCloud. And that's cool too. But like, even if you have to, I see having said that about recording, if you do 4 layers and you take the first 4 bars of each, or you take 4 bars out of each layer and create a full fucking verse with it, cool. That's great. Fine. I just think that it's important to be able to spit your shit at once.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't, because if you can't, then you're never actually going to be able to showcase it. And that's why I don't really like to fuck with the auto-tune stuff or like singing out of my range too often, because I can't do it to a good enough quality on stage. But I take huge pride, and like, I take it super serious about mic control and like voice technique and shit on stage, and it shows. Like, and I'll say it proudly, like 9 times out of 10 you can hear me better than anybody else, and that's no shade on anybody else. But that's just because I've fucking been holding a microphone in my hand since I was 5 years old.
See, and like, this is important. We don't get a lot of performers on my channel, right? And I talk lots about mic like, you know, mic technique, handling, placement, even like auditioning the microphone to get the right one for the artist, right? But like, I don't want to misconstrue it, man. The microphone is not the performance. The performer is the performance, but that includes using your tools, right? If you're holding the
That's
hammer
exactly it.
backwards, you're not going to get the nail in the board, right?
It's a tool. It's a tool. You got to know how to
Absolutely.
use the tool, or it's a fucking weapon. Like whatever you want to call it, whatever it is. If you know how to use it, if it's anything that is not you, if you know how to use it, it will help you be better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's the thing. I've said the same thing. The microphone doesn't make the performance. The performer does. But you could have the best fucking rapper that you've ever heard step on stage and have the shittiest performance of the night. And you could have the shittiest rapper step on stage and have the best performance, all because of how they use the microphone. And I truly believe that that's a big fucking factor in a lot of hip hop performances. And again, this isn't any shade to anybody. Like, I will happily help anybody, but there's huge ego. There's more ego in hip hop, I think. Well, metal maybe is pretty.
There's a lot in metal, bro. There's in metal. They don't even let you do reactions to metal because they think you're stealing their views. Like, fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Right. But that's the whole thing is like, it's some people don't want to hear it. And there's like, where's the fucking, I don't have a mic, but it's like, there's this beauty and this total thing about holding the mic like this.
Yeah, it looks cool, right?
It just looks better. You know what I mean? But like you can still
get
hold
away
the
from
mic
that diaphragm.
You can get pretty close, but you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, and it's little things. I've been at shows where the sound man has gotten so mad and ran up on stage and been like, "That's just how you hold the mic, you guys."
Yep. We used to, because I was a sound guy. That was my job, or a stage manager. And when we had, what's that?
I feel sorry for you. It's a tough job.
It's a tough job, man. It's a thankless job 9 times out of 10. But I liked it because I approached it like, if you were in a band, you were a 4-piece. I was number 5. That's how I looked at it. You know, if I didn't show up, it was just as bad as if the bass player didn't show up. You know, like,
we need more soundmen like you.
What's that?
We need more soundmen like you.
Well, I like to think so too. I cared, man. Like, and then I was a musician. I was a performing musician after my audio career, right? So same as you, I had like the understanding of the microphones. I knew I didn't point the microphone at the speaker. I knew how to address those things. I moved in-ears when I had to. Like, I had processing for my guitar when we were playing small places. Like, I understood how the audio works so we could get a better show, and we were booked all the time. And I'm not saying it was just me, but that shit helped, man. That stuff helped a lot, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. So, like, I mean, I know we're getting kind of off track, but like, it all literally comes back to that. It's all full circle. It's like, I wish I had the right example. They fucking talk about it at work all the time, but like, you have to have you have to have everything together in order for it all to fucking work. And it doesn't like a certain way to put it. And there's fucking really, really good example, and it's driving me nuts that I can't think of it. But anyway,
you're good.
That's kind of how I try to treat what I write. Like, I should be able to spit it in the car and sing it in the fucking kitchen and rap it on stage and do it on the mic and fucking, you know what I mean? Like, I should be able to do it everywhere, and it should sound pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, like, so you have like quite a low resonant voice, but on the record it's quite low. So like are you loud? You quiet? You go in the morning? You go at night? What time? Like, what's your method look like?
I've got a pretty loud voice. Like, I can project pretty well. I think that's usually what anybody and everybody complains about. Is, Otis, shut the fuck up. Like,
nah, man, let it out.
But that's the whole thing. Like, I'm loud. I got strong lungs, I guess. So like, on stage, that helps on stage for sure, big time. But I like, when it comes to recording, it doesn't matter. It can be first thing in the morning. It can be 10 o'clock at night. It can be 11 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning or 3 in the afternoon or fuck whatever.
You
Some of the songs
voice, you know what you want.
3 o'clock in the morning at my house. Sometimes I've recorded at 10:30 in the morning at Ethan's.
Yeah, nice.
I actually think that on No Drama, my voice is higher than it usually is.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that, you know, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, it actually is. Like, maybe not the chorus as much, but I think the whole song in general sounds my voice sounds a little bit more strained, and a little bit more, I don't know if whiny is the right word, but almost twangy than it usually does.
It's got like a fry to it. It feels like you have like almost like a false chord. So like before, you can compress airflow. I don't know how much of this you know, so stop me. Don't let me talk like down to you. Like, I'm not trying to.
No, not at all.
But like you can compress air before it gets to your vocal cords, and it kind of gives you this like kind of almost growly kind of compressed kind of thing.
That's what I was doing for that whole song. And I think the reason why is because I'd been sitting on that fucking record for like almost 2 years. And I had recorded that, or I had written that chorus on a different song. And then I wrote one of the verses to a different song as well. And then Ethan sent me that beat, and he worked on it. Like, it's so funny. If I go through my list, I've got like 14 different versions of that beat.
I love that.
I have to look at the fucking dates because if I don't, I'm like, what fucking beat is it? Oh, right. This is how it used to start. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But where the fuck was I going with this? Oh yeah, I'd been sitting on it for so long that when I finally got into the studio to record it, and we were like, this is what we're gonna do with it, I think I was like over prepared. Like, I remember, and this is something actually I'll remember this till the end of time. When I was in fucking grade 6 or grade 5, we started doing theater like real young, but I had one of the leading roles in one of our plays, and my buddy's dad was the acting coach. Like, he was the theater director, and he told us, don't rehearse your lines in character. Like, don't do them like when you're sitting there trying to learn your lines, don't do them super animated like you're on stage, because if you do that, then when you finally get on stage, it's going to look super robotic and fake. Like, remember your lines, like memorize your lines sitting there talking like a fucking robot, or like you're talking to your buddies. Then when we're doing rehearsals, put the feel into it and put some fucking emotion into it. But when you're just practicing at home, don't. Because if you do too much, it'll fucking sound that way. And that's something, dude, when I'm rehearsing for shows, I'll be driving in the car, and my kids fucking love it. Like, I haven't done it actually since they were younger, because I haven't done a show in almost 3 years. But Isis especially, she used to just like piss herself laughing. And I would just like, I'd rehearse in like a different accent, or like with a really goofy voice, or I'd pretend like I was talking to her, like as one of her friends or something like that. You know, rapping this heavy duty shit, but like talking with a Mickey Mouse voice or something. Yeah. Just to kind of like get my brain turning, because that's another thing, is you should be able to spit your verse on any beat.
Okay. See, Jordan Lucas does this all the time.
Yeah, you should be able to technically, like, and it's not like you should recycle your verses, but you should be able to, say you're working on a fucking song, you've got a couple free verses, you should be able to jump in a cypher and hit one of them on any fucking beat, as long as it's within that BPM and it sounds good. Like, obviously don't spit double time on a fucking 94 BPM, because
something slow,
it's going to be way too slow, or it's going to be so fast you won't be able to even say anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, it's, you know, if it fits, but you should technically be able to spit within like a 10 to 15 BPM, if not even more.
Yeah, or you should have something that kind of lands into each category. You know, call it like 75 to 85, 90 to 105, 105 to 120, right? Like, you should have something for each kind of section, right?
Yeah, that's why usually if I'm like shopping for a specific type of beat, I will say between 81 and 87 BPM. If I want it super tight. Otherwise, if I'm shopping just for beats, random beats, I'll be like, I want it between Usually my bread and butter is like 82 to 104 maybe.
Kind of like that march, not quite jump, but march.
Yeah, like that Jingle Bell, you know, like that classic '90s fucking, just that like hard snare and fucking kick drum. But
Yeah,
I'm trying to step out of the fucking boom bap. Like,
no, you're fine, man.
you gotta have
Boom
that
bap's important.
backbone.
There's something about like when you're saying punches and like some of the lines are like cheeky, right? Like, you know, they leave their clothes on the floor, like that shit's like fun, right? It's like that on top of a boom bap beat is, there's something about it just makes it hit, you know?
You know what? Shout out to my mom's. It was pretty funny. She because I spammed a bunch of people when I dropped that song. And my mom is like super supportive. Like, she's so fucking dope. She loves System of a Down and Eminem and like I watched the Defiant ones with her and she was like so blown away. NWA is one of her favorite bands, like groups.
Love that.
Hip hop groups, like favorite groups of all time. She thinks they're just like the fucking greatest. And she also grew up in LA too, so she's like
perfect.
You know what I mean? But she listened to that song and there's some fucking, I could say some shit in there. And there's the Nostradamus line. And she's like, she messages me back. She's like, I really like this one, Otis. It's really nice. Like, I like how you rhymed promise with Nostradamus. And I responded, I'm like, really, Mom? Out of all the shit that I said in there, that's what you're commenting on? Like, thank you, I love you. Like, she's acclimated to it at this point, and she's also, my mother is no fucking soft flower. Like, she's a little lady, but she will swing with the best of them.
She lived in LA.
Yeah, she's hard as fuck, but you know what I mean? Like, sweet, wonderful way. But yeah. It was just funny, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of cool, like, just hearing that, because like, she is a songwriter and that's what she did for a living, you know what I mean? So like, she for her to critique it and actually like pick shit out was kind of fun.
Well, that's a big rhyme to set yourself up for too, man. That's dope that she caught that.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. Like, you know what, it's funny, I was going through some of my old shit and I like Nostradamus. I like that word.
Yeah,
I like his name. It's fun to rhyme with.
Yeah,
like,
is that 4 or 5?
What do you mean?
Is that the syllables?
Nostradamus. It's 4.
4. Okay. Yeah. I couldn't pronounce it in my head and count it at the same time.
Yeah.
So, your mom is a songwriter, and you obviously have no problem songwriting. What's like your favorite song that you wrote or recorded?
There's a couple different categories: song of all time or song that I've released.
Yes,
I have 2. We'll do all time, and then we'll do song I've released. So, out of the songs I released, actually, you know what? I know what song is my favorite of all time, and I don't know if it'll ever see the light of day because I have to get the correct beat for it. So I did this song over Moment for Life, Nicki Minaj beat. That song with Drake. It was on like Pink or Pink Friday or something. And I recorded it when I split up with my baby moms. It was like the summer, that summer, like a few months later. And it's probably the best all around song I've ever written when it comes to like depth and structure and like what I'm actually talking about. Like, I think it's 96 bars. It's like almost 4 minutes straight. There's no chorus. And like half of it, I'm kind of like explaining the situation. And then the other half of it, I'm talking to my kids. And they were really little when this happened. So like it's kind of like there's a line in it where I'm like, you guys are too young to understand this shit, but you'll hear it when you're older. And it's a fucking really good song. And the reason why I think it's so good is because I feel like I don't talk about anything like super detailed and specific. I don't name drop. I'm not actually really talking any shit about her, or like, I'm just like kind of explaining the situation. And I think everybody and anybody who's been in that situation, especially with kids, would identify with it big time. So I think it's like one of those songs that could actually not like make a difference for somebody, but like actually resonate within people on a real level. And that's why I think it's the best song I've ever written.
Okay.
And hopefully one day Ethan knows I want to do it. I've been poking him for a few months, if not a year now.
He's just waiting for the right beat, or
it's got the same vibe. Like, it sounds really dope on the Nicki Minaj beat. Like, that's what I recorded it on. But it was just like one of those moments I was like super inspired to do something, and I wanted to get it recorded. I wanted to be able to hear it, right? The other one, which doesn't, this is like a wild card favorite, because it's one that I've already written and recorded, and I will be releasing it. I just don't know when it will be coming out, and that's all I'm saying. But there's a song I'm doing with an artist that is like catastrophically huge and has been for years and years.
Really?
One of my favorites of all time, hands down. One of the ones that's on that list I sent to you.
Oh, really?
One of the guys I name dropped in that conversation we were having.
Okay.
But I don't know when it's coming out, because like it's such a big song that if I dropped it right now, people wouldn't believe that it's real, for one, and if they did, it wouldn't get enough traction because I don't have enough of a wave and I don't have enough momentum on any of my platforms yet. But to either pay for some huge advertising and like promotion, or I would just have to roll the dice. So it's like one of those ones, like we're just working on. I'm waiting for a verse back from one other person, and then we're gonna mix it all.
Come up with a plan for
shout out to Ethan. He produced it. We've been sitting on it for years, and he finally fucking put together the right beat for it. But then my favorite that I've released, I think it's No Drama. Actually, You know what? No, you know what? I have to say, it's Otis. It's OTIS, and it's because the girls are on it.
Yeah, with the OTIS, right?
Yeah. And the best part about it too is all three of them are on it. So like my two youngest, so Hero and Isis. Hero's 6, Isis is 8. We recorded that in 2021, I think. That one, 2021 is when we recorded that. So they were 4 and 6.
Okay.
And then my was it 2021? We might have recorded it in 2020, actually, that chorus. So they're either 3 and 5 or 4 and 6. So pretty tiny. And then my their older sister, who was my daughter for years, she was on it too. She jumped on the chorus as well. You can't tell because her voice isn't quite as high pitched, but
okay, I got you.
That was just really fun, and it was like a sweet moment too, and like being able to put it out. I've actually got a couple songs I've written, and I have parts for Isis, and she's like, I'm trying to warm her up to it, but she's got a wicked little voice, and
I love that.
So like I'm trying, but that's something that I think is really important. Is like you should always encourage it, but I don't think you should ever really push it. I think there's a fine line between teaching your kids discipline and teaching and like discouraging them from ever fucking doing anything.
Yeah. When you get to like the point where it's like, you're pushing me away from this, right?
Yeah. I have homies that were forced to do so much shit when they were growing up, and they are doing none of it now. And I have other friends that were supported through doing what they like to do, and they're fucking flourishing at it now. You know what I mean? So like there's the girls are still young. Like Icy's getting old enough to the point where I could maybe start getting her into some programs and stuff, but she's just having a good time. So, but yeah, OTIS was fun. Plus that song's hard as fuck. Like the bars,
man.
Like I love the second verse. I think is my favorite of the whole one. You know what? That whole song is great. The whole thing. The 2 verses are fucking solid.
Yep. That's definitely one of the songs that like when I put it on, I'm like, by the time it's over, I'm like, oh shit, it's over, and then like I'm playing the whole thing again. Whereas like I say, like I no drama, man. But like, I catch myself rewinding that second verse every once in a while. I'm like, fuck.
Dope.
It's good though.
Word.
And
Well, I appreciate that, man. That's really fucking cool. I'll be honest, dude. When you sent me that the other day, when you said that you've just been listening to it on repeat, like that's like that's what we all do it for, regardless of whether people are trying to make money or not. Like, hearing that is so fucking cool, because like I did, like, me and Ethan, we're just a couple of dudes in fucking some town in some city or in some province in some country. You know, we're just two fucking people just throwing some shit together, and it fucking worked, and it sounds dope, and we had a lot of fun doing it, and now other people are enjoying it, and hopefully somebody gets like at least some of that joy out of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's like, you know, like the numbers are cool because it lets you know that it's resonating with other people. But that at the end of the day, like, y'all are making music that you like listening to it, you like making it, your daughters like listening to it. Like, what else can a guy ask for?
It's fun, you know?
Right.
I mean, like, that's the whole thing. Like, I feel like I've always kind of been destined to make music of some sort, one way or another, whether it's to make a full fucking career out of it or whether it's just to do it for the fun of it. Like, I mean, it's just a good time. Like, I feel so at home on stage. I feel better on stage than I do in the studio.
I feel more myself on stage than I feel in most scenarios.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Like, I'm loud, man. I'm obnoxious, and I'm nice. Like, I'm a good guy, right? But like, I'm obnoxious. I like being in your face. I'll come wander to tables and stuff, and that's who I am. You strap a guitar on me, man, and turn on some spotlights, and I come alive, right? Like, and I like that. I like being that person. Like, I wish I could drive that energy more often, but it's tough,
right? Yeah, you said it. Drive that energy. It's like, because. And obviously, it's different when you've got a crowd that's really responding compared to like the fucking kids standing there against the wall. But like when the shows are really popping and people are really feeling it, it doesn't matter if there's 20 or if there's 100 or 1,000 or 10,000. You know what I mean? Like, you can have, although it's impossible to have that many people and not have it be somewhat fucking crazy. But like,
bro, I got stories. Stories.
That's fair. But like, that's the whole thing, is like, you get that fucking energy exchange with the crowd and with the other people and the other performers, and like, it's fucking fun, man. It's like, it's such a good fucking time. Like,
yeah, man.
So
no, I was super fortunate in my band. We opened for a couple of the bands that we covered their songs. So like, that was pretty cool, right?
That's wild.
And because I was an audio technician before, and then I was a band later, I had worked with these bands, and that's not how we got in. It was like, people would know me or they would know the band. We were like kind of like a house band at a performance club in town. So they needed an opener, so they'd call us up because they trusted us. They knew we'd be energetic, warm the stage up, whatever is cool, right? But like, you know, you look out and you're playing and there's like two people dancing, but then you look at front of house and like the lead singer, the headliner band's in a disguise watching you. And you're like, oh shit. And now you got to put the show back on, and it's so much fun, man. It's just like, there's nothing like performing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude, I feel you. It's a lot of fucking fun. And that's the whole thing, is like, and it comes with experience, and some people are cut out for it and some people aren't, but like, you have to do that with the crowd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You got to play with them.
You have to put on a little bit extra, and you have to get them involved. As fucking scary as it may seem, like, for anybody that's listening or watching that's never been on stage or is about to do their first show or has just started performing, like, there's an invisible wall at the end of the stage, and you're always afraid to go through it at the beginning. As soon as you fucking break through that, you'll realize that actually gets them even more into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go up and throw your hand out and they want to slap it, and you're like, they're more stoked that you just offered to slap their hand than you are. They've responded. You know what I mean? Like, and then they get into it, and it goes back and forth, and it's fucking fun. Like, it's so
much fun.
Like, at the end of the day, it's just a good fucking time. And like, I don't even give a shit if they like my music or not, but like, we'll have a good time when I'm on stage, one way or another.
Yeah, one way or another. And even if you're barely paying attention, man, I'm gonna catch your attention one way or another. So you got some shows coming up.
Sorry? Oh yeah. Shout out the homie Quote. He is putting on a 2-day event at the Effie here in Kamloops. It's March 17th and March 18th. You can go on to it's on my story. It's in my Rap Life story highlights. I'll be sharing it a little bit closer to the dates too. But you can go and search it on Facebook. He's got a full Facebook event page made up. That's on my page too. The homie Junk, actually, I don't know if you know Junk from Vancouver, but he's been working with like Stomp Down for years. He's from Nelson. He just dropped a crazy track with Kasky from Florida. It's called Two Sides, I think. It just came out like yesterday, the day before. He's coming down to do he's the main act on the 18th. And I'm performing on the 18th as well. It'll be my first time on stage in 4 fucking years.
Wow, good for you, man. Color me jealous.
Well, it's just like, I mean, shit shut down at COVID, and then we haven't really done any hip hop since. There's been a couple shows, and then I moved out of town this summer, and things started popping off again because there was finally a new event or like a new venue. So, and shout out Quote too. Like he actually got me. He got me on stage the first time ever. Like me and Cedos. The first show we ever got, that kid got us on there. So he's a good Kamloops, definitely a Kamloops OG for sure. And he's been doing his shit for a minute. So it's nice to see that like the scene is still alive a little bit, but it's definitely been pretty fucking dead for a few years. So
I hope it's coming back, man. I really hope it's coming back. I would love like for my channel, I'd love to get out and mix, but I would selfishly love to get out and perform again. It'd be so much fun.
Dude, you should do it all. Why the fuck not? I'm trying to look, you said you like Limp Bizkit. I'm trying to start a fucking basically like not a Limp Bizkit cover band, but like basically like,
a Limp Bizkit cover band.
No, what?
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
You know, we can do fucking rolling maybe. I mean,
you want me to send you some heavy single rep? What's that?
We don't want to open up that can of worms. I just want to start I want to like a rap rock group. Like I want to rap with a band.
Yeah.
Like shout out to the homie Daz, the punk. He dabbled in the hip hop scene for about a year and a bit and was doing some crazy shit, but he's more of a punk heavy metal guy. And he played drums for me on one of my last shows, and it was fucking dope. It's like even having just drums when you're on stage with your track band is sick. Having drums in a DJ, even sicker. Having drums in a DJ and a bass player and like even a guitar player or a fucking keyboard player. Like,
yeah.
So fucking sick.
You got to watch some 21 Pilots if you've never watched them before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Great, man. Yeah. I've been falling in love with them.
You know, yeah. Well, there's fucking dude. We're gonna have to do this again for sure at some point. Or we can just go on for another like 4 hours. Doesn't matter. I've got a lot of time. I'm in no rush. But
I was gonna say all my cameras are literally about to die, so I do got to jump off this one.
Yeah.
But if you're in, man, we should do you and Ethan one night too.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm totally down. Whether we do it together or whether it's like we're on different, like he's at home and I'm here.
I can have like 10 people on this thing, man. It's good.
Fuck yeah.
Hopefully not in a blizzard. So, what else you got? You want to shout anything out? You got anyone else you want to shout out? Anything else you want to shout out?
Shout out Ethan, like Ethan K. Fucking bro, you guys need beats. Go check him out. Like, and pretty much having anything to do with my music will have him on it. So any of my recent posts, go Ethan K Beats at Ethan K Beats, I believe is what it is.
Yeah, on Instagram. Yeah.
He changed it up just a little while ago too. So I just changed mine as well. You can see it on the screen there, but if you want to holler at me or you want to follow any of my shit, I got my link tree up there. It's at otisdavis.php. Shout out Demons, the Dark Apostle, Pale Horse Productions. Shout out the homie Corrosive Dosage. Like, I'm trying to get this kid back on the tracks, and if I do, it'll be nutty. So we've shout out T York, fucking homie's killing it. like bringing it up real strong. And the thing is like we've got some music, him and I and a couple other kids. We've got some crazy shit coming out real soon. Shout out Melancholy. He just dropped a really dope project. But you know what? And we'll do this again, and we'll have a little bit more shit figured out, or like I'll have some more shit kind of planned out to let y'all know about. But keep an eye on my page because I am dropping a song March 21st. We haven't even announced it yet, but I will say, well, we just did. I just announced it. There you go.
There it is. Yeah.
I'm not telling you what it's called yet, though.
That's okay.
But,
you might not have named it yet, eh?
Yeah, not quite sure yet. But, man, bro, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Oh, you know what? And shout out to my kids.
Yes.
100%. I almost kind of wanted to do it when they were up just because they would have loved to come and say hi, but, like, they would have never left, and we wouldn't have actually gotten anything done. So.
If you get a video of them saying hi, send it to me, and I'll put it in this.
Okay, perfect. I will. I'll get that to you. Or this weekend. Yeah. We'll have time.
Absolutely, man. Yep. Yeah, you got a week. This will come out next Friday, so we got time. I'll be in touch, obviously. I appreciate you being here, man. And on behalf of the BEL team, everyone have a great evening.